And welcome to another Crawford Podcasting Network episode of Down in the Blocks with former Wolverine pivot man Chris Young out of Detroit Catholic Central High School, the Shamrocks. He played in Detroit Catholic League, went on and played 4 years at the University of Michigan, came in the fall of 1998, if I'm not mistaken. Played international ball after that. Lives in East Lansing. Chris and I are living in enemy territory. I was brought up here, and Chris is now learning what I've been going through my whole life, being a Wolverine in foreign territory. How do you navigate that, Chris? I just right off the top. How's that going for you?
As you can see, I'm always wearing maize and blue. That's all I've got in my closet. I don't have really any other colors. I've got some variation of maize and some variation of blue, and that's what I wear. I'm 6'10", 300 or so pounds, something like that. People don't typically get in my way. People don't say anything. I've got a personalized license plate that's got my, my basketball number on it and stuff like that, and Michigan stuff all over the back of my truck and all that. And every once in a while, someone will get real bold and kind of crack a window and be like, "Hey, F Michigan" or something like that. And it's like, "Oh yeah, you're a tough guy," But walking around no one gives me a hard time, so I don't really mind it too much. The only problem that I have, and I don't think you live close enough to Spartan Stadium, but I do. I live less than a 5-minute walk from Spartan Stadium. So I'm outside working in my yard and I can hear the band practicing, which is cool. You hear the band and it's like, okay, it's a football Saturday or it's just during the week or whatever. Then they start playing that stupid fight song. Like, oh yeah, that's where I live. Well, that just kind of bugs me a little bit, but otherwise it's not too bad.
Even up here near Hagedorn, Lake Lansing Road, when the wind is right on a football Saturday, I can hear the band at Spartan Stadium. I mean, it's amazing how we live in a small town here, Chris. But anyway, always enjoy doing the show. This is week number 2 of Down the Blocks, obviously covering Chris's former team he played for, the Wolverines. He wore number 45, which, hey, my 2 favorite 45s, Rudy Tomjanovich and Chris Young. Not specifically in that order, too. Maybe you're number 1. Who knows? Rudy T with a turnaround jumper. You're way too young, Chris Young, to remember that one.
Yeah, we had our basketball reunion last year, right before COVID shut the world down, and I got the chance to talk to Rudy for a long period of time, and we talked about a lot of stuff like that, and it was just an amazing experience because one of the reasons why I wore 45 was because my dad brought me up on all the Rudy stories. And that's just it was
right.
Yeah. So and I got a chance with him and tell him that and stuff like that. And that was at our little event that we had on Saturday night. And then on Sunday there was the Michigan basketball home game, and they brought us all onto the court and stuff like that. So we're all kind of milling around in the tunnel beforehand. And Rudy was way the hell down at the other end of the tunnel. And I come walking the door and I'm talking and stuff like that. He says, "Hey, there's the other 45. Let's give him a hand." So it's a cool little relationship we have just because of the number that we shared. So
so your dad is as old as me because if he remembers, Rudy T. See, I started with
I know Dad's going to end up watching this, so I don't want to put out there how old he is, but you guys are about the same age.
He had the turnaround jumper. I saw, I'll get the old man alert content out of the way, but I mean I saw Rudy T. score 45, his number. Mm-hmm. And they're playing Purdue, and Rick Mount, who is the basically a long shot bomber. He had 51 at Chrysler. This is back in the day when games would be typically 103 to 95. I mean, Johnny Orr's, if Johnny Orr just started getting there. Anyway, okay, let's break down what happened. The Wolverines are 5-0. They beat up 3 really good MAC teams, mind you, the 3 best teams in the MAC. But I'm telling you what, as much as that, and that was a makeup game, and hats off to the Toledo Rockets, they stepped in there and drove the 50 miles. NC State had to cancel. This is a world of COVID. That tells me a lot about that program to do that. They hadn't played Michigan since and Chrysler since I think '82. So they came up there and they got some good players, but Austin Davis starts ripping it, the first 10 points in the game. Now he's got, and then we saw that injury. And at first I was freaking out. I go, oh my God, that looks like the Kobe injury, Achilles heel, but then he wasn't really putting pressure, all that much pressure, plantar fasciitis. Or do you know what, did you ever experience that, or what is that?
I never did. I was one of the rare few guys, especially being a bigger dude, that I never really got hurt. I didn't miss a game or a practice during my time in Michigan, and I only missed my 12-year professional career. I only missed a handful of games and practices for injuries in 12 years of being a pro. So I don't really have a whole lot of experience with injuries myself. Now, I've seen every type and style of injury with teammates and guys I've played against and all that. And I know that plantar fasciitis is one of those things where if you don't rest, if you don't do all the rehab and do everything you're supposed to do, that'll nag you for 6 months. I've had teammates that have had to do it, and they're just like, man, this is just the worst thing because there's very little rehab that you can actually do for it, in my understanding. And it just needs rest. There's not a way you can just kind of push through the pain because it's just so uncomfortable.
Okay. So on the Zoom call yesterday, media call, Juwan called it extended weeks.
Yeah.
Is that just letting us down easy that he might be going?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's him saying that they honestly don't know what it is, how long the rehab is going to be. And I mean, my guess is that we won't see him before probably the third week of January, if not later. From my experience with teammates, it's at least a month to 6 weeks of rest and rehab, because as soon as you go back out there and play too soon, you tweak it again.
Yeah.
It's not something that just goes away. So it has to be totally gone, totally healed, and then you get back out there and playing.
Well,
Unless
it's like
you want to try and play through the pain, but you saw him; he couldn't even, walk around on the bench and walk to the locker room and stuff like that because he was that uncomfortable. So
it's like the infamous high ankle sprain that it continues
exactly.
to nag. And so that being said, Michigan fans, well, we got Hunter Dickinson, so that's all cool. But I'm thinking what's setting the table for Hunter is he comes off fresh, and you got that two pivot man, 1-2 punch. I think that's a Michigan core strength if they were both playing, Austin, with him. That like, wow, Michigan could vie to be a top 3 or top 4 in the Big Ten with that 1-2 punch. Now, without him, Brandon John's going to have to take in that slack at the 5. How do you think that's going to play out with Hunter starting, Chris, and Brandon mopping up at other times?
I definitely like the combination of Austin Davis and Hunter Dickinson better than I like the combination of Hunter Dickinson and Brandon Johns.
Mm-hmm.
I liked Hunter Dickinson coming off the bench because he came in and he was an immediate spark. The kid is instant offense, especially playing against a smaller guy like he was doing the whole night against Toledo. He's able to get to the basket. He's able to finish around people, finish over people. And I don't know that he'll have that same type of intensity starting the game. And especially now getting into the Big Ten tomorrow, he played 23 minutes and had 1 foul. Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen tomorrow against Penn State as a starter. They're going to be going in. They're going to be trying to attack him, trying to tire him out, trying to get him to pick up fouls, and then they have to go to Brandon Johns. And I don't know where Brandon Johns' head is at.
But sometimes
it doesn't make any sense to me. He gets into games and it's like everything's moving too fast for him, and he's moving too fast, and he's just he's missing something right now.
Right. I think this could be, and this is probably just wanting something to happen. This could be that defining moment for Brandon Johns that he has a defined role need, and he can play a 4, he can play the 5, he can play the 3. Yep. And that's another one of his core strengths is his versatility on this team in that 10-man rotation, which is now a 9-man rotation, but that's still good. But I think he's going to step up because he's got a jaw for the ball. And so that I'll just leave it that I think that's going to happen. But I'll tell you what, I want to go back to Hunter because, and I saw some clips of him in high school and at DeMatha, which is one of the great, famous high schools, Hyattsville, DeMatha. Yep. I didn't realize how quick his hands are. I mean, I've never seen a guy, he's got big mitts and he just gobbles the ball up and he finishes like I had wished John Teskey would finish last year.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, that you said exactly right. He's exactly what Michigan fans and me in particular have been looking for a big guy for a long time. And we just haven't had anybody that did that. Coach B did not recruit bigs that played the way Hunter Dickinson does. And now to have somebody that will go down on the block, will mix it up, will finish around the rim, will try and dunk on people every chance he gets. I mean, that's what we want. That's what we're looking for. That's how Michigan basketball was always played. That's how that position has always been played. The being able to shoot the 15-footers and shoot threes and stuff like that will eventually come, but that shouldn't be the primary focus on what a big is. in my opinion.
What do you think, Chris, that Hunter is going to be like as a 30-minute guy for Michigan as instead of a 22 or 23 or 20-minute guy?
My only concern with that is you could see as his minutes were kind of picking up against Toledo, he wasn't turning that John Teskey type of reddish pinkish color when Teskey would get tired, but you could see he was starting to change colors a little bit, and he wasn't moving up and down the court as much, and you could see his conditioning wasn't. I don't know that he was ready to play that many minutes and be that much of a key guy on offense and on defense. Because it's one thing to play that many minutes when you're just out there and you're running around defending and you're getting the ball on top and you're just reversing it. But when you're down on the block and you're wrestling and you're getting position, you're getting the ball and you got to go through people and then you got to defend, you block shots and you rebound, and you run down. That's a heck of a lot more energy. So
yeah,
the only thing I'm questioning is his level of conditioning right now.
So T. Will, as they call him, Terrence Williams is a freshman, and he has an amazing ability. I mean, he's got some moxie to him, that dude. Because I'm going to be honest with you, and I've kind of been researching the new kids coming in. I didn't see this coming, that he was going to play that vital of a role, and he was one of the heroes in the Oakland game that needed heroes, as in Hunter and T. Will. But Isaiah Livers yesterday on the Zoom was talking about, or actually post game Wednesday night was saying, listen, he can help out too. I mean, he speaks highly of him. How do you see him in that role, helping out Brandon, filling in the Austin Davis minutes at the 5?
Again, he's another guy that's going to have to step up. He's going to have to play more minutes, and we have to understand he doesn't have a whole lot of experience. And same with Brandon Johns. Brandon Johns has got hit and miss experience. There were some games last year where Isaiah Livers was hurt and he had to step up and he played great, but then his role kind of fell off, and then you could see his performance and everything fall off. So it's just a matter of how they're able to respond. And as everybody knows, non-conference games are one thing. Getting into the Big Ten, that's a whole nother monster.
Yeah,
you're much better scouted. Everybody knows you. All the coaches know you. They probably recruited you. They know you since you were a freshman and sophomore in high school. They know your tendencies.
right.
It's much more physical. It's not called as tight for the most part. So it's a totally different game when you're out of the non-conference. So it's how can these guys adjust, especially the freshmen, to basically a different level of the game.
Right. I mentioned Isaiah Livers talking about Williams and some of these other his teammates the other night in post game, and Isaiah had a nice game against Toledo. He had 16 points, 6 boards. He's been a leader. Yep. In fact, now from a captain standpoint, they're going to have Eli Brooks join the captain ranks to fill in the void for Austin. So there's 3 captains on the team, and Austin will still be a leader. We know that. That's just kind of the way he is, and he'll be a great contributor, even though not on the court. But Isaiah, I wanted you to get your thoughts on this post game. It was the Toledo game. Talked about Michigan is going to be playing Nebraska on Christmas Day, and I think this is the mental part is catching up with some of the the student athletes in basketball and things. They're not seeing their friends, and they're not going to see their family at Christmas time at all. Not even for that little quick Christmas, mini Christmas. And you experienced those, although you had a short trip back to Plymouth. But he came out. I mean, you could tell it was wearing down, because then he threw out, we should be paid or something like that. I mean, I don't know if you saw the reaction, and I love this kid, as I've said over and over and over to nauseum. What do you think about his comments about we should be paid and things like that?
Well, I do have to say, as soon as I saw the Big Ten schedule come out and I looked at where Michigan was going to be at around the holidays and all that, I got really upset, and I was disappointed for the guys because, like Liver said, they're not paid. There's no reason that the Big Ten should schedule games on Christmas and on New Year's Eve. Because even they're going to be in Nebraska on Christmas. Those guys have got to, they've got to prep on Christmas Eve. They got to play on Christmas, even though, it's a home game for them. But who knows how many of those guys are local that, they'll still be able to get home to see their parents and see their families and all that.
Right.
I just don't like it. Have them play on Christmas Eve. What's wrong with having that game on the 26th?
Okay. So,
why does it have to be on the 25th? That's what I don't understand. And then as far as paying the players, I mean, that's a slippery slope, but you know, I'm hard pressed to say that they shouldn't be compensated in some way. I mean, I've told the story a couple of times. I'm not sure if I've told it to you or not, Tom, but when I was in school, I was dating my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. We were sitting in my car parked in the Blockbuster parking lot video. This is how old I am. So we're sitting in front of Blockbuster. It's a Friday night. I'm playing on national TV on Sunday against Indiana. And we're scrounging through the car, looking on the floorboards and stuff like that, just to find $2.50 between the two of us to go in and rent a movie from Blockbuster so we had something to do. And I'm going to be playing on national TV in 2 days. And my jersey's for sale up the street at the bookstore for $75. And I'm scrounging for change to find to be able to go and rent a movie from Blockbuster. So there should be some kind of compensation for the athletes, whether it should be $50,000 a year or $5,000 a year. That I don't know, but there should be something, because there's no reason for these guys to be bringing all this into the university and not being, financially compensated for it. I understand they get a scholarship and everything, books and everything.
Yeah, that's my point.
That's all part of it.
Yeah.
But there still should be a little something on top of that, especially in the revenue generating sports. And my theory has always been, Michigan football, Michigan basketball, they bring in revenue to the university. So once their expenses are paid for travel and for everything else, why shouldn't the remainder of that pot go back to the players?
Right. Well, I right now, I mean, you think athletic departments would be struggling to survive COVID? They'd be completely out of business to their players right now. Yeah. I mean, it would be over with. So there is a silver lining to that, and that's another discussion that I'd really like us to break down, and maybe even bring a third party in their discussion, because I think I think it's drifting towards some type of a stipend of some sort. If you can keep
there's got to be something,
right,
especially for the really high level, the high caliber programs, the Kentuckys, the Dukes, and stuff like that, where those kids, a majority of them are not going to play for Coach K at Duke to get their 4-year degree from Duke.
Right. Okay. But I want to go back to the Christmas thing, and I'm dovetailing off what Tom Izzo said, just down the road from us, about kids going home at Christmas, and it is problematic because he can control the situation, although he got COVID himself, but he can control the player situation much better at Michigan State than they go home. Okay. So they go home. So say their families have tested, say all that, but then they want to see their friends. I'm like, when you went home to play, I mean, your high school buddies wanted to see you, right? That's going to be a normal situation. Well, how do you navigate that? And then you're going back into the team, and then the bubble gets blown up.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's that element too, right?
That's the issue with this year, with all the COVID stuff and things like that. It's better to keep the guys in the bubble, but it just doesn't make any sense that, on those holidays, especially, Michigan plays tomorrow and then they don't play again until Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So you let the guys go home on Monday for a week, and then you bring them back and test them and do all this kind of stuff. But then what if one guy, brings back COVID, even though they're asymptomatic, and then the entire team gets it, and then, then you wipe out, at least a couple of games because you have to quarantine and do all that kind of stuff. So it's almost better that, you keep them kind of locked down. You keep them in one, NBA style bubble in this time of year. But then again, these are, 18 to 22-year-old kids that want to go home and see mom. They want to go home and see people. They need that in order to recharge, to gear up for the grueling 3 months that they're going to go through in the Big Ten season, where they're not going to be able to see people, where they're not going to be able to do anything except for, go to class and play basketball.
Well, then you got this online situation. I mean, Chris, think about that. They're in their say they're over in the quad. I don't know where the hell their apartment.
Yeah.
That's got to feel like some levels of imprisonment for an 18 to 22-year-old. That's tough stuff.
Yeah, totally, being almost totally isolated. You and your, roommate or two, and all you're doing is going to class and going to practice. And I mean, that's the situation I can't even wrap my mind around.
Right. Okay. I want to go back to the Wolverines. A couple of other points here on Down the block with Chris Young, the former Michigan pivot man, and we're in our second year of this podcast. It's so much fun. Now we're on StreamYard, so you can see Chris's handsome face and my face for radio at the same time for your entertainment and appreciation. So let's go into the Big Ten play. There's going to be 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to ask you right out front, Chris. I mean, you've seen this team play 5 non-conference. They haven't beat a ranked team. They haven't had the opportunity, so it's no fault of theirs. They struggle with the Oakland, the best 0-6 team in the history of the world, according to Tom Izzo, which is probably true.
Yeah.
What's your record? How do you see the Wolverines? How do you see your former team 20 games in Big Ten play? If we all get them in, what's your record going to be?
If we get them all in, that's the asterisk to this whole thing. I mean, I would say 13-7.
13-7. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty realistic thing. They're going to go on the road. They're going to steal a couple on the road, win all your home games. I mean, I think that's not out of the realm of possibility. You know,
okay.
and maybe they drop one at home and then they sneak up and they beat someone on the road they're not really supposed to. And I think 12-8, 13-7 is very realistic for this team. Now it's a matter of how quick Austin Davis gets back.
Yeah,
I mean, 'cause he's just going to be a big factor. But I'm very confident. I'm very impressed with what I've seen this team do so far.
Okay, so it's funny you said that. So I sometimes have conference calls with my Michigan buddies watching games together. We watch together the games on the phone. Okay,
yeah.
And so when Austin scored that first 10 points, and he was looking like, oh my God, and Hunter's not even coming to the game. I said to my buddy, I said, you know what? I just moved myself. I'm up to 13 wins now in the Big Ten. I said it at that time.
Yeah.
But then after the injury and how you described the recovery, that huge task getting. Maybe he might not even come back. I'm down to 11. I'm at 11-9 because of that injury. I think it's a 2-loss injury at minimum.
Yes. Yeah, and that's entirely possible. And then we got to see who's willing to step up and who can step in and carry that load. And in the Big Ten, how it's always been, you have to win all your home games, and you got to steal a couple on the road. And that's how it works. And if they don't maintain the home games, then you got to go and steal some on the road. Otherwise, then you're in the bottom third of the Big Ten if you don't do that.
Okay, I want to ask one more point. Okay, so you got 13 wins. Your Big Ten champ. I want to ask who the Big Ten champion is. That's question number one. And then how freaking good is this Luka Garza? This dude last night in 17 minutes got like 30-some points, 34 points in 17 minutes. This guy is unbelievable. Let's start with Luka. I mean, how freaking good is this dude?
He looks like, when I got done playing at 34 years old and I went back and played against some college kids and stuff like that, that's what this guy looks like. He looks like he's an old pro that's just coming back and just out there playing, but is still athletic enough and can run and jump and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable the things that this kid is able to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just makes it look so easy. There's no effort into it. He's just out there making passes and shooting and rebounding and dunking, and it's like, and he's out there laughing and smiling and joking and stuff like that. I mean, he is head and shoulders better than anybody I've seen so far this year, all across the country.
Well,
that's in the same ballpark.
He's got finesse and a street yard mentality combined like I've never seen in a big man with skill set. Okay, so that being final question though. So Iowa, Illinois. Who's your Big Ten champion regular season? Illinois looked really good against Duke, which is not a very good team.
Yeah, they're really athletic. They can score, they can defend, they can do all that. But I don't know that they have an answer for Luka Garza. Yeah. I mean, I think right now he's a player of the year in the Big Ten and national. Naismith player of the year right now. And if he keeps rolling the way he's rolling, I mean, there's no one in the Big Ten that's going to touch him.
Yeah,
they're a Final Four team. He keeps playing like this. At least,
oh my God,
if not better.
National champ.
Yeah, champ. I mean, it's he's amazing. He's like, I don't typically watch the NBA, but when I know LeBron's playing, I'll turn on and watch LeBron because he's just such a freak athlete. I don't typically watch the NFL, but when Tom Brady's playing, I'll turn on and watch Tom Brady. And when Iowa's playing, I'm turning on Iowa and I'm watching Iowa because I want to see what this kid's going to do. It's just like when Zion was at Duke. You want to turn on, you want to see what the next thing is, because it's so awe-inspiring that it's like, God, this guy's doing this now.
I know.
So I think Iowa's by far number one in the Big Ten.
Oh, I agree with you. So we agree on that, CY. So, hey, terrific job. Again, we'll talk to you. Hey, next time we talk next week, it's going to be the Big Ten play is going to be starting. And so we'll have that to break down. And good job, as always, number 45. You bring it.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care now.